Tervetuloa hieman erilaisen Polioliiton verkkovideon pariin. Me saatiin tänne Polioliiton toimistolle juttuvinkki Yleisradiosta. Tuossa kiveheito päässä tohon suuntaan, niin siellä on Ylen studiotalo ja siellä tuotetaan para-aikaa radiokuunnelmaa Poliosta. Yle Draama tuottaa siis radiokuunnelmaa nimeltä Poliovuosi. Sen on käsikirjoittanut yksi maailman taitavimmista audiodraaman tekijöistä, David Zane. David on saapunut henkilökohtaisesti Suomeen ohjaamaan tätä kyseistä Poliovuositeosta. Joten laitetaan takki päälle, mennään tuohon Ylen studiotalolle ja yritetään löytää sieltä David.
So David, what sparked the interest of writing radio drama about the polio at the first place?
This play is it's only in a way about polio. It's not. I must tell people from the start. It's not a play about polio, about all the details of polio and so on. The way that it happened is that I was sitting in the middle of the COVID lockdown 3 years ago, and in Berlin, where I lived part of the time, and I wanted to write about this situation, but I didn't want to write about COVID, because I knew everybody was going to be writing about COVID. And suddenly I looked in my notebook and I saw a title that I wrote down many years before. The title was, in English, That Polio Year. And suddenly I remembered my own childhood and at a time when polio was still extremely serious, just before the vaccine was discovered. And I remember that suddenly we were not allowed to play with other children, we were not allowed to go swimming, we had to do this and that. And of course, it was a fairly frightening situation. So for me, I could then use my memory of this polio situation as a kind of metaphor for COVID, you see, and or let's say a metaphor for a fear of infection, of getting infected, because that's really what the play is about. And then, of course, I did a lot of work, a lot of research for this, and I discovered someone that everybody, whose name everybody will know, Paul Alexander, having polio and living in an iron lung, inspired me to create a fictional character in the play who in English is called Lung Boy and in Finnish is called Koikopoika. I'm not pronouncing it correctly, Koikopoika. But the main character of the play is an old man, 79, 80 years old, who is remembering his time as a 9-year-old child.
If you compare those that year, 1952, to the past COVID years, do you think we learn anything as a human beings? You think we learn everything? There's a lockdown and we're afraid of diseases, you think?
You know, I said to, when COVID was going, I said to myself and to other people around me, I said, we will not know the real truth about this until 5 or 6 or 10 years have gone by. In other words, we don't know what's really happening to us here, you know. Not that I believe in those conspiracy theories, that's not what I'm talking about. That to me is a lot of nonsense. But every time I listened during COVID to an expert, a so-called expert, I thought, well, the next expert will come on and tell me the opposite or tell me something else. They don't really know what it's about. This title of the play that I had, That Polio Year, is repeated over and over in the play because it was, in my memory, only about a year until there was the vaccine, Salk vaccine, and so on. And then I remember the relief of parents and my parents and people around me when the vaccine was discovered, you see. But then it was gone out of my child's mind, you see. I knew suddenly that I didn't have to think about it anymore. And to tell you the truth, I didn't think about it for about 70 years or so, when suddenly this idea came to me during COVID.
If you could get back in time to that polio year, 1952, what would you say to that 9-year-old David, whose mom is worried to death for her baby getting infected by polio virus?
What would I say now?
Yeah.
I would say, there's the play, and that's the old man reflecting and more or less talking to the boy.
Is there any message you would like to say for all the Finnish polio survivors?
What I would like to say is something that is said in the play at some point, that there is actually, I can actually quote it. When the COVID rules were suddenly relaxed and people started going out again and this and that and so on. You know, it was something very strange that I noticed going outside, and I still don't understand it. Suddenly you saw in the streets, everywhere, masks that people threw down on the ground. And I thought, what kind of a statement is that, you know? It's like saying, okay, we don't need this anymore. But here I will just quote myself, because there's a scene where the boy comes back after being in a camp where they were supposedly protecting the children, and it's the opposite. He says, I sleepwalk the new streets just emerging from the polio pestilence. Even though it is still among us, still a danger, still infectious. Shops are open as before, the buses are full. People who once protected their mouths with masks now toss them in the gutters. Once again, our skies are full of smog and so on. Then mostly crowds are shoulder to shoulder again. People are kissing, touching, breathing one another's breath in the assurance that there will never again in our lifetime come such a plague. That's the message, is that it's not true. It will happen again. It will happen again, and it will happen again, in my opinion, for two reasons. One is that nature is the way it is, and it does include diseases, and we can't avoid that. But the other is that we have really made the world extremely dangerous ourselves. Nature is getting its revenge on us now. And this is one of the results of it, is that because we have made life easier for disease to come to us, it's coming. So my message, if I have any, is that we should never take for granted that this kind of danger is gone. You know, when I heard people saying, oh, COVID is finished. Now, COVID is not finished. Okay, it's not as serious as it was at the beginning, but it's there. And who knows what will come afterwards. Probably it's too late to stop destroying the world and destroying nature as we've done. But if there's any chance for my grandchildren to survive that kind of thing, then people, right now, it has to change, and we have to stop killing nature as we've done.